with allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So I got a motion to approve the agenda.
Well,
He did.
I got a second.
Second.
Motion made and second to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Approve the minutes of the June 23rd meeting.
All motion.
second.
Motion made and second to approve the minutes of the June 23rd meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Old business.
Two updates. Terry and I had another meeting with the community members on Monday night. We seem to be making some pretty good progress. I think there are a couple of members here. Hopefully you hear that we're at the council meeting. We kind of said we're gonna have another meeting, one more meeting before we come to the council with any other recommendations. We kind of worked some things out. We have some questions yet about numbers and sizes and those type of things, but overall, I think it was a pretty good meeting. I think people left there feeling that their voices were heard, I think anyway. But we said that the council would have to make the final decision on any change, whatever we're gonna make. Second thing, I think I told you, but I'll reiterate that the senior living property is now been sold. We don't own that anymore. I expect that, I expect in the next couple of weeks or 10 days, depending on whether they're gonna start building on that. So as far as our involvement in it, we've done everything we're supposed to do. So, we got the money for it too, so our money is out of that project now. I don't think I have anything else, Carrie.
That's pretty good.
New business. TZD discussion. Charlie, you
The reason I'm bringing up TZ program is because I'm firmly opposed to union participating in it. My goal when I leave here tonight is to have council vote in favor of discontinuing our participation in it. Not against the seatbelts, not against seatbelt laws, not against the TZD program being used in it. Not against the TZD program. The way I intend to do this is by separating facts from fiction from the last meeting that I was at on October 28, 2020. First thing I would like to do is make sure we're on the same page, because, well, Mayor Bean, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But I believe that the mayor is the head, then the council, and then the chief of police. You refer me to you of the police department, the mayor doesn't, and I want to talk to you about this. You didn't want to talk to me?
Just meant, no, we're gonna do this, guys, though. You gotta direct your comments to the council, not to a member of it won't work. So no, we have to direct our comments to the council. I just don't wanna call it, we go in, then it won't work. Thank you.
So, am I understanding that correct? The mayor is overrides the police department and then the council, and then the police department, or is the police department, the mayor, and then the council?
want me to answer that? I'm the head of the council. The council's over here. The council's the head of the police department. The police department runs themselves. We just oversee the police department.
And Dick's role here is to, in the city here, he's at our meetings because, he's not a resident of Goodhue, you're a resident of Red Wing, correct?
Correct, my mailing address is Red Wing, that's correct.
So, your role as a city attorney to be at the meeting here is what?
To advise the council on any legal matters that come before the council. I also review the financial information. For example, on the two big projects that we've got, I advise the council on whether or not the finances were working, basically to oversee any of the developments that we've done in the city. We have any personnel problems, I usually advise them on that. That's what I do at the meetings. Usually I'll only speak up if I'm asked to, or if there's something that I think is not, that we need to take advantage. For example, if somebody wants to request a closed meeting, I'll tell them that they can't do it or what the reason's for. Another thing we typically talk about at meetings, if we have anybody that wants to make a complaint about a particular employee or that, we can't talk about those at public meetings, they'll have to be done in private. So that's what my role has been for a number of years now.
It's 1990, but.
That's correct.
So, since I was here on October 28th, 2020, which didn't go well for me, but I still have the recording from the meeting that I listened to a million times. And there's 3 new members on the board here that weren't, Wayne and Terry, the only ones that were here before. So, if you want to explain it, or if the chief of police wants to explain the TZD program to the new members here,
We got somebody right here from TCD that's willing to stand up and do it.
I watched his YouTube video.
Well, that's what we got up here for.
Alright, well, if you guys wanna explain the TZD program.
Sure.
Yes, you can.
Okay, thank you.
You don't tell them,
Well, I'll introduce myself. My name is Scott McConkey. Well, just to go back a little history, was a sworn officer for 33 years. Started in Wilmer, where I grew up to Fergus Falls, the police department, then joined the state patrol, eventually retired as lieutenant of the Mankato district, where I currently live. And the last 10 years, I've been working for the Minnesota Office of Traffic Safety. I'm called their Southern Minnesota Law Enforcement Liaison. Basically, by every definition legal, I am old. Whether it's Social Security, Medicare, or Pizza Ranch, I meet the criteria as a senior citizen. But, and I often refer to myself as grandfather count, but that's just a little history of myself. By the way, I do go to Pizza Ranch every Tuesday because my grandson eats free and I get my senior discount. So, a little about me. I was asked here by the chief and folks here that were interested in TCD, and I help work with aspects of that. I deal with the law enforcement, and Jessica Seid is the Safe Roads Coordinator, who also coordinates a lot of the media and educational aspects of that. As my role as a law enforcement officer and having worked as the Office of Traffic Safety, I have an opportunity to speak with kids, sometimes in the high schools, but I ask them some tough questions. I'll ask them, and this is a little bit of background to what TCD is about. I'll ask how many know somebody that was killed in a drive-by shooting, drug-related incident, or a school shooting, and a few hands will go up. And then I'll ask how many know somebody personally who has died in a car crash. And without exception, 1/3 to 1/2 the hands go up. So I'm not a big stats guy, but that tells me that traffic safety is a significant priority in our communities. And it's everybody's concern. And as government officials and law enforcement working together, we sign an oath to do all we can to keep the citizens safe. And that's a shared responsibility. And there's many areas we do that. Traffic safety, to me, is one of those priorities we have to be concerned about. TZD is one tool that helps us do that. It's started in, Jess, if I am wrong, I believe 2001, 3. See, that's why she's here. She keeps me on track. But since then, and the goal was that any death is considered unacceptable. Just consider who you would be willing to sacrifice as a staff, you know. So that's where that comes from. Some people don't understand it because can we get there? Our goal is we just don't want to see anybody live through that tragedy. You know, and as I ask myself that question, do you know somebody who's died in a traffic crash? I do, and maybe you do, and it brings some emotions to mind. The trooper that got me coming into switching from Fergus Falls State Patrol, shortly after he retired, he was run over on his bicycle and killed. And I know many more, you know, and I'm sure you do too as well, because so it does become personal. But as we look at TZD, it provides a number of avenues to approach this. One is through what I mentioned, through Jessica's work with safe roads and providing educational and media efforts. Okay, if Jessica just shares a few of those that she might have done in this community?
Yeah.
Okay.
Really quickly, hello. I work with Goodhue County Health and Human Services as well. And so some of the programs that we do, we work a lot with our schools. So making sure that we are working with our students and young drivers and really instilling really great behaviors at a young age. It's harder to change behaviors the older we get, as we all know. So we work with our schools. We've done seatbelt challenges. We've done buckle up stencils in the Goodhue, you might see it in the Goodhue school parking lot. We work a lot with our students as well through all of our counties. We work here getting victim impact speakers. So right before graduation and prom, many times we will have speakers come to our schools to talk about these behaviors and also to show them some of the consequences of their actions that they might choose. And so hopefully to get them to not choose that. So a lot of work that we do in our communities around our younger folks, but then also making sure that we work with all areas, knowing that seatbelt use is important, that impaired driving, we need to make sure we don't do that, we need to slow down, we need to buckle up, especially because when looking at the stats, which Scott doesn't like looking at, many of our crashes and fatalities are in rural communities. Many people assume that it's in the metro, where over 70% of fatalities and a lot of our crashes are happening in our 2-lane roads in our rural communities. So really working within our rural communities to make those changes.
Jess and I have another connection. If you don't mind me telling, she's got Haitian heritage, and my grandson is part Haitian. So we kind of connect with them too, as well as in traffic safety. Pretty much the only purpose of TZD or towards early death is to keep people from dying in what we call preventable crashes. We don't call them accidents, we call them a crash, because they're normally initiated by human behavior. And so we focus, as Jessica mentioned, we have a multifaceted group. We have what we call the 4 E's. Help me if I get them wrong: engineering, education, EMS, and enforcement. So we don't throw all our eggs into one basket for any one discipline. I guess we do throw them all in to work together to accomplish the purpose of keeping people from dying. And we also focus on what the stats tell us are the key factors where people are dying. So when we have an enforcement campaign, it's all about creating visibility with media, law enforcement presence, and education at the same time. And what we focus on, our campaigns are speed, impaired driving, whether alcohol or drugs, distracted driving, seat belts, motorcycle safety, pedestrian and bicycle safety, and then one that deals with our roadside maintenance people and first responder. We have a campaign also dealing with move over. So those people that are trying to protect us, to keep us safe, we work to keep them safe as well. It's also interesting to note, your community was brought to my attention recently when I got a call from your chief that I believe it was working one of the safe and sober shifts.
It came in for an extra shift, yes, sir.
Okay. Someone was stopped on Highway 58 out front here going 143 miles an hour. That's scary. And unfortunately, that's become very common this year. Our speeds in excess of 100 is doubled by state patrol stats. So kind of just sharing where we're at, I am going to just share a few stats. We recently, our office started putting out a weekly bulletin, and the first one came out July 1st through 2nd. In the first half week of that period, 18 people died in Minnesota. Traffic safety has reached crisis level in our current society. Almost 40% increase in our roadways fatalities, motorcycle increase, and this is just this year, have increased 65%. Almost half of our fatalities are still unbuckled. And in pretty much all categories, we've exceeded fatality rates from what they were 5 years ago. So we're going the wrong direction. pretty much, that's in a nutshell, unless you have questions of me. Just want to share that we are a mobile society. Everything we do involves getting in a car, whether it's travel, transportation of goods, visiting family and friends, vacation, relaxing, or enjoying ourselves. Unfortunately, it's also a place where we're dying a lot. And so, again, I know you have some things to discuss, and I respect that, appreciate it. But I was just, and me and Jessica were just asked to share the program and then leave the rest of the discussion up to you. But if there are any questions, sure.
How does it affect the city being in it?
Well, as financially or?
Financially
Okay.
and let's say the car and
Yeah, they're,
officers?
sure. Now, the Office of Traffic Safety is kind of like my wife. They don't trust me with fiscal budgets and money. But I did check with our grant coordinator that works this area. Your city has participated this fiscal year in three shifts. In fact, I got it here. And one was in December during a DWI wave, and 2 were in July just recently. Now, they are compensated the rate and time and a half unless it's a part-time officer. So then they get that fee. They are reimbursed only for hours worked. Now, there is a federal, and what we do, we funnel NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Association money, and they bring it through the Minnesota Office of Traffic Safety, and then we distribute it. Law enforcement coalitions, not individual agencies, can join and request and make application for a TZD enforcement grant. Goodhue participates in Goodhue County Sheriff's grants, and they're participating in it. So they're the fiscal lead. They set who gets how many hours, and if, they can't always use it. But there is a requirement to try to meet a fiscal match. This is never intended to be a total traffic safety program. It's meant to supplement or help that. But as far as, and I discussed it with the chief, there might have been some misunderstanding, so I had that clarified. The 0.56 cents per mile is put on your budget to show the feds that you're contributing that part, the car, and that's the federal rate for miles driven. So they put that on the budget to show the feds that's your part of meeting that match. Did I make that as clear as mud, or?
Isn't that like an in-kind?
Yes,
It's, you have to show so many dollars that you
Yeah.
put towards.
And they
as
want
a
to know you
grant
got some
in-kind.
skin in the game
Yeah,
too.
okay.
They do there. So have you participated a lot this last year? I would say not a lot. I know it's difficult sometimes to have officers work. There's certain training requirements. But we think those training requirements help enhance their duties all over as a cop. One is A-RIDE. It's a program dealing with drug recognition. And when the officer has that experience in that training, the training is offered free. Again, it's you provide the officer to work it, and then it's up to you that you compensate their hours. But there's a lot of events that they go into in the event, whether it's domestic crimes, burglaries, where drug is a significant factor. And we found that training has also helped them in dealing with that and assaults and other things, as the officer recognizes this may be a drug-related incident and can focus it on that as well. Yes, sir.
So, like on Highway 52, they have a TZD corridor. Does the TZD focus road on your travel corridor like 58 and 9?
Yeah, it's not just designated to route, but they may designate a route in a strategy to deal with high visibility, high volume, high crash rates.
Well, that's the way I read it to the TZD program, that they focus on the high visibility in heavy travel corridors.
And that's up to each group how they decide. I know Goodhue has done cooperative efforts, and they really, and I don't know if they've done past years, but one of the things they focused on and they moved around
was the Move Over campaign. So that was a local endeavor. It can or it doesn't necessarily have to be funded by TZD. Not every traffic safety effort is, but that group has been with Jessica's help with the media. They may identify areas of concern and then focus their efforts on that. So if that helps.
So just to be clear, the city puts out the Trump's money, because I read that in there, that we,
I don't think the mic's picking up, Charlie.
Oh, you want me-
I can't move it,
but-
so.
But the city puts in money towards this, and then they donate the mileage on the cars, and we're reimbursed for the officers.
they're reimbursed for their time.
Because on October 28th at that meeting, Wayne specifically asked Josh, do we pay for this? And Josh responded, no. The mayor said the tire shimmick doesn't cost us a dime, whereas it says it in there that the city must provide startup funds. That's the point I was trying to make, is he said a lot of inaccurate things, and I want to clarify all those inaccuracies, and there's a lot. So I was given the seatbelt ticket through City Hall right here, by the roller cup. But, so are you focusing on these little areas right downtown here?
I would say wherever there's a roadway.
So how do they determine where they're,
Well, I would say within their jurisdiction and
their
they,
jurisdiction is any place in Minnesota? They
Well,
can write out anything.
based on, and your city attorney could probably define statute a little more. But the jurisdiction would be, I would say, Goodhue County and their cooperative.
Maybe I can address that since you're asking. me,
Sure,
but
sure.
We've kind of had a policy, except for in TZD. This isn't a written policy, but I think it's a policy, we like to keep the officers in town if possible.
Mhm.
I think it's, if I understand the TZD program, if you have a group of people that participate, so they might go to the Zumbrota area, or they might go to Goodhue, or they might go to Wanamingo, or wherever the participating towns. Now, generally speaking, I think our policy has kind of been to keep our officers in town, but we also realize that if we're gonna be this program, they might have to go to a different community. Is that kind of correct, Chief?
I kind of look at it like a drug task force, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
As I mentioned, we're kind of in crisis area, some of this, and like you have a drug task force, you contribute officers to it because it's bigger than what any small or medium-sized agency can necessarily handle, so you combine resources. Now, as to how that works, we leave that up to the local coalition. What we just ask is seek high visibility, let people know you're out there. And it lets people know that.
Who is our who's in this coalition?
Well, we have Cannon Falls, we have Zumbrota, we have Canyon, we have the sheriff's office, we have your agency here, and
We even have fire departments in EMS as well.
Oh, really?
And we have Red Wing and
Red Wing, yes.
Thank you.
And then we do, UNSF does not,
Oh, that's what
yeah. And then we also have engineering, so we work with our public works systems folks. Our Red Wing City, is in our public works, and then also our county public works as well, the engineering aspect.
So, yeah, we don't mandate or tell them how to gain the high visibility. Some areas through the joint powers agreements and, that they have allows them. I do know that, it was a concern, not a concern, a metro suburb agency issued a citation in and adjoining one while working one of these shifts. And it was contested based on jurisdiction. The judge ruled in that it was within the scope of law enforcement as he was underneath his umbrella of traffic enforcement. So we don't extend extra jurisdiction, but that's things different areas can work out with your joint powers.
Well, I'd agree, they have a jurisdiction to go any place they want, but we kind of ask them to kind of
Yeah.
stay in town, I think.
Unless the
Unless they're
county,
going to,
the county requests.
we had an
it, so
assist, yeah, I used to assist, like the other day, they had an assist,
Yeah.
Belchester.
And we respect your local decisions.
Okay, thank you.
It also stated in there, that they need to do an education program with it, like media.
Yes.
Has the city ever done a education program to tie in with?
That's kind of Jessica's.
So that's done at the state and local area, so that is, we have, the state provides OTS, or sorry, the Office of Traffic Safety and DPS, the Department of Public Safety. They do statewide press releases, and then I forward those on to our local ones to make sure that our local papers are also getting that information. There's radio, so you'll have, many times when we have our campaigns, there's radio campaigns that happen. A lot of those are through the state offices as well. Locally, we haven't done a local radio one for a couple of years. Locally, we have done YouTube videos for certain cities as well to get the information out about TZE, and that's on the local channels. Yeah.
Here's another
Newsletters.
unique to southeast Minnesota, they
So
do
the
a first
city of Goodhue
responder.
doesn't need to do that.
As long as they're part of that network.
Correct.
I just say that a unique thing they do in southeast Minnesota is they do an annual photo where law enforcement, local fire departments, and then come together.
Well, maybe you could serve, maybe you could show that to the people.
Oh, there it is. And they just did, this year it was in Zambrota. And they'll be distributing that part of the media. I'm in there, if you look right in front of the fire truck, there's a little glare.
For the sun, right?
I play like where's well, I sneak in there every year now, so where it's at. Gotta have fun.
So,
Yeah.
not this year, but well, they have this year too, like, previous, I don't think last year, but the year before, I saw TZE coming here, they were saturated, there was a ton of them. And they were going from car to car, they were running through intersections, it's flying from this car to that car without lights on. It was but they have no special reason that they could do this, right?
No, we just expect, as we do all law enforcement, whether on something like this or regular, one, to obey traffic laws and the guidelines that, they have to go by. One thing I require, that I don't know if we have it actually written, we respect people, and we hope, we expect people to respect law enforcement, so it's mutual. And, I've made thousands of stops, issued thousands of tickets, but I've actually, it's not fun getting it, no way. It stings, it hurts, it takes a financial bite. Every time I turned on the lights, I felt a little tinge of my guts turning a little bit. But sometimes we had got along well, a few times not so well. But for the most part, traffic safety is unique because it kind of touches all of us. Have I ever gotten tickets? Sure. Did I like it? No. But it's unlike a lot of other things we do in law enforcement, where it kind of goes to certain segments of our society, different groups committing various crimes. But being we're so mobile, we're all involved in it. So yeah, I've always done my best respecting people I stop, and for the most part, some of them made friends with me. Actually, pretty good friends with people I stop. But it's a tough business because you kind of walk in a fine line because, like I said, it's your community members. But I think the underlying motivation is not to make a financial hardship, not to embarrass anybody, whatever. But like I said, our one goal is to keep people from dying, and that is we do that by trying to change behavior. And that the driving behavior that you change here can affect what's happening up in Warwood or down in Marshall, because when we do it here, we hope we do it for a community, we hope we do it for people that come to our community, and we hope they do it for us when they go to the community. That's just keeping us as safe as possible.
Can I just clarify that?
Sure.
My daughter just turned 20. She would not have a seatbelt. I did not oppose seatbelts. At 16, she was an inexperienced driver of the car. That doesn't justify, I have 3 businesses in town.
No, we're not gonna get into your ticket, Charlie. We're not talking about your ticket. We're not gonna talk about your ticket, that's a pending legal matter. If you're gonna bring up the ticket in your businesses and everything,
He's here to voice his.
no, he's not, no, Chuck, Charlie, you're not gonna give him, you're not gonna be able to have him give an opinion on your ticket. This gentleman received a ticket, he's disputing it, we're having a trial on it on August, I believe, 26th. I don't think you should comment on any of those facts that he's trying to get you to do.
And I'm not familiar with.
No, so I don't want you to comment on anything to do with his ticket,
Okay.
or any way he might potentially ask you about an example or something, because that's not the forum. Please, that's what we gotta do, because it's a pending legal matter.
What I'll do is just say what I've told anybody
Yeah.
I've had a dispute with on roadside. I encourage you to seek the remedy our Constitution has provided, that's the judicial branch, and to bring it before the court. Not only do I encourage it, because if I did something wrong that's gonna affect somebody's life, I want to know too. So I've never discouraged that, so if that's the process you're going through, so.
You wanna ask me anything else?
I don't know, if they're gonna let me?
Well,
As long as it doesn't have to do with
your case.
yeah, I'm not gonna talk about your case, can't do that.
I have several questions for our chief, am I allowed to ask him anything?
As long as it's not a badgering question. I mean, you're going to, you're actually addressing the council, not the chief.
Okay.
But you wanted to stand up there?
Yeah, they want you to stand up.
Sure.
Yeah,
I have
Charlie,
more
'cause
questions.
you're not by the
Well, I
mic.
mean, you can get a better mic.
Yeah, get a
Charlie,
better
why
mic,
don't you go by, up there by the mic?
so we can hear better. We can get,
Because the audience is texting me and they can't hear you and I heard it saying.
I gotta see how I'm gonna do this, I can't ask him directly.
you just can't talk about your ticket, Charlie, that's the only you can't talk about.
I'm not- Okay. At the October 28th meeting, I left because I didn't want to be there.
Now, we're gonna
That's
stop
not
that.
right either.
Okay, I got it. At the October 28th meeting, our chief of police said, met several things that were inaccurate. But one of them that he also said in this letter, by participating in the Goodhue Police Department, become eligible to receive grant funds for equipment to save the city money. What have we bought with the money that we received from the grant? We just clarified now that all that money goes to wages. Nothing goes to equipment, nothing goes to car, nothing goes to anything except for wages, correct? Am I allowed to ask you?
Scotty, all right?
That changes with each year because they get different rules from NITS of what they can provide. And,
This is a copy of the letter I got from him.
okay, and the pot gets smaller every year, unfortunately. I'm trying to recall this year's grant. We're trying to, because we realize some agencies or radars are going out, the roadside testing devices for alcohol are wearing out, so. I believe there is a provision that they could seek grants, sometimes it's a match, but this past year, I don't know if we've had that. I wish our grant coordinator, but in past years, we've had. The last I recall, we replaced a significant number of field breath testing devices. So it changes from year to year. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, there's things now, that other agencies will kick in, like I said, it's not an all-in-one encompassing. They're trying to change, if you've seen the old safe and sober sign to buckle up, I actually, with squeaky wheels started 8 years ago, I said, we need to update those, and now we're going through and trying to roll those over in MnDOT, or Office of Transportation and stuff, and provide funds for that.
So the money for those grants is given out by the agency to who they decide should be getting it and what they should be getting.
Like in this case, yeah, that would be Goodhue Sheriff's Office, Mitch Grable is the, what we call the fiscal lead for this grant here.
Is there money that goes to the city to be able to prosecute these tickets? To pay Dick for prosecuting me?
I don't believe so.
So the city of Goodhue is paying to prosecute.
It's
Dick, is that correct?
Correct.
'Cause
I've never, before you, Chuck, I've never prosecuted anybody on this, on a
Oh, that was
TV.
one of my questions, I know.
Never have.
But Josh specifically said at that meeting that it cost the city nothing. Kerry repeated to Taya, it costs the city nothing.
It doesn't,
Well, who's,
because if people pay the tickets, they don't.
but if they're not guilty, why would they pay the tickets?
Well, we're not gonna talk about that.
You brought it up, I didn't.
No, you asked me, Chuck.
Who's paying to prosecute? The city of
City
Goodhue?
of Goodhue,
And is that at a rate of $160 an hour?
yes.
And how many hours do you have in it now?
I don't have it off the top of my head. I think I haven't charged a dime since the first of the year.
No, you haven't charged a dime, period, because I've been monitoring your invoice.
Mm-hmm,
It's been almost a year.
mm-hmm.
So how come you haven't billed the city? Is there something you're trying to hide?
Now,
Because
you badgering here, let's stay with the council, please. We could be sitting
Well,
here
no,
till for
because
3
I'm-
hours and you're gonna be accusing me,
Okay,
him,
then,
everybody
I'm
else
not
charging.
accusing, I'm asking. So, okay, then can I have a special meeting that we can discuss this at?
Up here.
If you want information about the billing, you can fill out a request,
Yeah,
like
we've
everybody
already
else.
been through that, I know.
Well, okay,
I mean,
I'm not,
you're,
I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to the city.
okay.
May I have a special meeting so that we can address all of these issues? Because there was many inaccuracies, fiction, call them whatever you want, discussed at that meeting on October 28th.
Who would be there to answer the questions,
That's a good question.
you know? I
Well,
mean, who,
can we have a special meeting between, how about the mayor and any two council members? Can we sit down and discuss this? I don't care which two, but I think the mayor should be there. Dick doesn't need to be there.
I think we ought to work through this right now and get it over
You
with.
won't let me ask any questions.
Well, yes, you can, Charlie, but we're not gonna talk about the ticket, okay? And the challenge we have here,
But a lot of the inaccuracies from October 28th are you. I would like to address those issues.
okay, go ahead, we're on tape if you want to, I'll sit and take it.
I have the tape from October 28th. We could, if it's a special meeting, we could go through them one at a time and I'll point out the inaccuracies.
What do you think that will accomplish?
Because when is it okay to lie to the city council? And with no ramifications. He wanted to push this TZD program through, so he said whatever he needed to say, one being it cost the city nothing. That's not true.
Can I address that
one?
one? Because Chief Smith and I spoke before that, because that line item was on the budget, it was a misunderstanding. He thought there was a reimbursement. What that was, as I explained, it was to show match. And I like the term used.
It's in kind.
In kind. And so there was a misunderstanding there, but from my when I look at a spreadsheet, I get things confused very easily too. So I confirmed that with our grant coordinator before I came.
So
that was,
we'll chalk that up to a municipal on that.
well, you can call it what you want, but I wouldn't call it a lie.
Okay.
Could I just make a comment? As I'm reading this, and then the part that you highlighted, by participating in the TZD program, the Goodhue Police Department became eligible to receive grant funds for equipment to save the city money. The operative word there is became eligible. That never means if TZD doesn't have grants at that time, then there's no money that would be eligible. If there was grant money that came through, because as we know, things are always, grants come and go. If there was money there, we wouldn't be able to get that money if we didn't participate in TCD.
So,
Is that a fair assumption with that? I mean, because if there was money and everybody said, you could buy a body camera with this money that we have right now through TCD, but we don't have any money for equipment right now. So they only become eligible, but it doesn't mean that there's money there at the time. Would that be a fair statement?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
but my wife explains this much better than I do.
Oh, I wouldn't go so far as to say that. I'm just trying to think.
And I don't mean to make light of it. I was-
Right.
My whole point, well, several points that why I don't want the TCD program in our town, from our community. Number one is the cost that it costs the city, for the car, for the fuel. Number two, is taking our car out of town in the evenings when it should be here patrolling our area. Those are my two biggest concerns. Number three, it's harassing the patrons that are coming from around town here, that are just bopping from business to business. And I own a couple businesses in town, and you're just harassing them. If somebody's on the fence of going to Zambora for something or coming to Goodhue for something, but they know they're gonna be harassed when they come into town here, why are they gonna wanna come to Goodhue? I wouldn't. Now, I have to direct this to Josh directly, because it's what just happened a couple of days ago. Am I allowed to do that? Dick, am I allowed to do that?
what if?
The mayor makes a decision.
It all depends, if it's badgering them, no.
Or if it's about an ongoing
If it's an
case.
ongoing case, no. If it's a quick,
It's about what happened on Wednesday, July 7th of this last week
in the city,
in this city. On Wednesday, July 7th last week, my daughter and I stopped to talk to you outside the station here, correct? What time, it was later in the afternoon, what time did you guess?
I don't have the time offhand, what time was it, Wade, at 2 to 7?
You came
Yeah,
down.
around 2 or
You
3.
came down in your pickup with your kids and you were working on the slide car.
Sure was.
So what time was that, about 3 o'clock?
2 or 3, somewhere right after that, yeah.
Oh, like 3-ish.
Sure.
So, you're pretty upset because you had to come down and work on the car.
Not upset at all.
You weren't upset,
Not at all.
really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm down here working on stuff all the time.
let's just keep it going, there's no sense of
Okay.
accusing somebody to make one thing
No,
about
okay.
it.
So, you're getting the car ready for the TCD program.
Mm-hmm.
Shortly after that, I went home. My wife and one daughter were walking the dogs out to the farmer's market to have supper at CBD's barbecue. We were at the farm store, what used to be the farm store over here, trying to decide what to do with our dogs, and I watched, because I go along with the farmer's market every day. I watched our light patrol car come flying into town up by the C-store. Came flying down, took the left, came down here. My daughter videotaped to make sure that he stopped at the stop sign, which he did. But the ass end of the car came up like this, he was moving at a pretty good clip. Then we went and got lunch, we're eating, sitting at the table, and he left town in just as big of a hurry in the other car. So assuming that you got the internet working.
Mm-hmm.
That's the point I'm trying to make. He's flying into town, flying out of town, what's the big hurry? He doesn't have his lights on, there's a farmer's market that's going on at the one time the cop should be in town, he's going to wherever, Officer Ormsby, correct?
Ormsby.
Ormsby, so he comes, gets our car,
It's the same car, it's all our cars, they're both our cars.
I understand that.
Okay.
He comes and gets our car and takes it out,
Switches it up, yeah.
and then comes back, brings the car back, and we get reimbursed, or he gets reimbursed for his, and we pay the fuel and the car expense,
Okay.
correct?
I was
So-
correct, yeah.
So why do we want the border cop coming to Goodhue to get our car, to take it out to a,
When he's in our car, he's working for us,
what's that?
isn't it, right, Josh?
He's our part-time officer,
part-time
and has
officer
been for
for
several
us.
years now. He's working for us. At that point in time, he is a Goodhue police officer with multiple jobs.
Why do we want Kim
Yeah,
coming to
just
the
hold,
Goodhue?
hold a second.
I just wanna mention that, I work on safe roads, I don't work as much on the enforcement side, but with us all working together. I do wanna mention that the way that I'm hearing this is that the Goodhue police officers are out of town all the time, and it sounds like a lot. Where, Scott had mentioned earlier that they have only worked 3 shifts this year. So that's a total of 18 hours. And those 18 hours doesn't mean that they were out of your town during those 18 hours. We do have campaigns, and so during those campaigns, we have, let's say if a campaign lasts 4 weeks, during that 4 weeks, we'll maybe have 2 times where we have saturations where the different groups are working together outside of the different areas. So even if they were working 18 hours, that does not mean that they were in Cannon Falls all of those 18 hours or Redland during those 18 hours. Some of those hours or some of those shifts could have been right here in Goodhue during that whole time. And that is something that is discussed among the law enforcement, different coordinators who are working in our county together, and then they decide. So if Goodhue were to say, hey, we're really short tonight, there's something happening, we can't come, then they wouldn't participate that day. So it's all the law enforcement working together to see, one, they're the ones who decide where they are having these saturations and when they're having the saturations. So I just want to also just make sure that that's known.
Just to clarify, when you said the last year, that's a fiscal year, so that started October 1st, 2020. So, yeah.
Back up 1 second, how did you say they decided that? The officers decided that?
So the law enforcement officers are coordinators for the different areas that have been mentioned earlier, so like Cannon Falls, and go to TV, that list.
So
They have meetings, so they're called enforcement meetings, and at that meeting, they say, okay, we have this many hours that we have to distribute throughout our county, where should we have those saturations, who can work those shifts, what hours should we work those shifts, and that's something that's decided amongst the law enforcement. And so there's certain parameters that they have to be within, but that's how, so our locals have the judgment to say, here's the requirements that we have during this time period, and then here's where we can work out, like how many people in how many shifts per different, like, at this point, would be for seatbelts, we have this many hours to fulfill, et cetera.
So I'm asking the city council, why do we want to do this?
Why don't we?
Why do we want,
Why don't we?
it's costing us money.
It costs us money if we have a police person working the town. If we have 2 of them working it, it's costing the city money.
Right.
So
Why do we want
I don't
to-
understand
why
where
do
you're
we
coming
want
from,
to go?
except we only got another about 4 minutes, and then we're gonna cut this off because we got so much other stuff to go on.
Okay, well, I got one more point I want to raise. Thursday, July 8th, just past Thursday, there was for about I think 3 days, possibly 4, there was an ugly camper, very rough looking, not taken care of whatsoever. Some other businessmen, myself, believe that it is either now or it's going to be a ruling about that. You're familiar with it because you got a call down C-Star, which you responded to with your pickup because our city car was out of town, correct?
We had a TZD shift, but our regular officer was gonna be coming in later. So that was actually my time off. They told me about it. I contacted a uniformed deputy to come on down. I then confronted the individuals, found out what they did. And then they long formed the report and sent it in for charging, which both turned out to be both felonies for pouring that amount of gasoline down the drain.
My point is our car wasn't in town. Our
It
car
wouldn't
was
have been
out
either. It would have been regardless.
because
Could I just make a comment?
Yeah.
Charlie, I just wanna say something, I trust our employees, I trust our administrators, I trust the people who work for the city. I think TDZ needs to continue. And if you've got complaints about our, I don't know where you file those complaints for, about our police department. I don't know if this is the place for it, I don't know if we're gonna address them, so. That's how I look at it, a special meeting I don't think would accomplish anything, and I don't
So
think.
where do I file the complaint, Mayor?
There, talk to Lori, she's got
We
complaint
have a
forms.
stack of letters this thick. You have filed complaints, Charlie. I don't know what more we're gonna do.
I haven't filed the complaint.
I look at those letters as a complaint.
I'm making sure that there's a record of all the
Okay,
letters
I
in the
have a
city.
form I can get you tomorrow.
I give you a copy of all them to make sure, because I was sending them to Dick, and I wanna make sure that there's a second copy, that the council's aware of it.
Trust me, the council has seen them all.
Obviously, I'm not getting any place. So I can't have a special meeting to address the rest of these issues?
File a complaint and we'll see what we can do.
But if it's a complaint about a police officer, I'm gonna tell you, that will not be discussed in an open meeting. And it might not even be discussed at the council at all. We have a complaint procedure in our personnel policy that we follow, and we have to follow. Right, Lori?
Well,
Matter of fact, well, we did have a complaint that you made, that we did follow up on, correct?
which was,
About the gas man and the police officer. Did we not investigate you and ask you some questions about those allegations?
Or yes, you did.
Okay, let's move on. Dave, here want to discuss anything on the TCD before we go? Thanks for coming, Charlie.
Thank you for coming. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. And I can't remember your name.
Jessica.
Thanks, Jessica.
I apologize, me and names. Sydney, you wanna come in?
Alright.
Hi,
Hi guys.
Sydney.
I guess I'm just here, we've had a good pool season so far, it's been hot, it's been good. We had a complaint yesterday about closing early. We've had to close a few times early. I kind of gave you guys some data, we've had to close 3 days, we closed to 4, and then 3 other days we had to cut short 2 hours. So, a few community members weren't happy about that. And it kind of made the lifeguards upset too, because they said that they weren't willing to work, and the lifeguards are willing to work. There's just they're in a lot of activities, and a lot of them work second jobs. It's a good group of girls, so they're willing to work. It's just that there's some conflicts some nights.
Okay, that was a question I had, because that's the same thing I heard, they were telling me no.
No, they're not telling me no.
I mean, that's what I.
They have, at the beginning of the summer, I make them give me their whole summer schedule. That way I know what they got going on, and they don't just come up with something on the spot. So I knew in advance that we're gonna have a few days where things weren't gonna get covered. And I always make sure there's always 4 guards. We do 3 some days, but we'll never do 2 guards. And it seems like the days where we do have to close, it's been 2 guards can work, but we can't get that third.
What was that you said? 2 guards can work, but
Can't get the third.
Yeah.
can't get the third?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's getting that third guard.
okay.
How many guards you got?
We have 18. So we have 4 more than last year. And last year this just wasn't a problem because no sports were going on. Their second
Okay.
jobs maybe weren't going on. That's why we just didn't have that issue. And the people that were upset, I kind of did point out, they wanted money back for their passes. And I did point out that we were open the first day the kids were out of school, which surrounding pools were not. We closed that last week of August. We do have a longer pool season than this other surrounding pools.
Yeah, we were the only pool that opened last year,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. And I still think $125 for a family of whatever amount of kids they have is fairly cheap
It
for
is.
a
That
summer.
is, that is.
Sid, is there a ratio of swimmers to guards that? like
I
the
always-
American
I always say
Vessels?
1 guard to 15
Okay,
kids. I would have to look that up though.
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of changes.
right.
Because somebody did say, well, if you have 2 guards, could you just open up a section of the pool for the night? can be kind of hard. It's like what kind of what section? We have the kiddie section, we have the deep end. I mean, then you have to limit who comes in.
Right.
That was an idea thrown out there.
That's what I was thinking. If there was only 2, could you keep it to so many and then just say, you know, the diving board and the deep end is not open.
Yeah. It just does make me nervous if something were to happen that
Right.
somebody needs to go call 911. 2 people maybe need to handle the backboard. Like, you know.
Safety is ultimately the goal.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's been going pretty good.
We've had our swimming lessons, we're on our last week of those, and they've been going good. And looking forward, I don't see any more closings in the future, or the rest of the summer, just because their activities slow down in August.
Do you have any suggestions on how we could get more guards?
I mean, 18 is a good number than we've had in the past. I don't know.
I just wondered, you know.
Do advertise
you
for
know,
that.
The city of Byron has 8. So, for a town of 5,000 people that have 8 guards,
Yeah.
we're a town of 1,100, we got 18. And their pool is a lot bigger than ours. New.
And did you know ahead of time, when these days might be as far as not
I
being able
do, there's just, I mean, things come up or I'm waiting to hear back from them. Or sometimes I'm like, okay, this person can work 2 hours, then they go to camp, this person can work, it's just a puzzle I put together, like.
to? And I just wondered if a sign, you know,
Yeah.
saying ahead of time, you know, we won't, because of staffing issues, you know? I mean, I went to McDonald's the other day, said we're closing in such a time because of staffing issues, you know? That was McDonald's, I mean, you know, you would think they'd be able to get enough people into work their full shifts, and so I think everybody knows it's hard to get people, you know, it's really hard to fill positions, and so I don't know, I just thought, just another thing to maybe help people understand
Yeah.
what, you know, is going on, that's all I'm thinking, so, yeah.
And last year you did a lot of lifeguarding too.
Yeah,
You
I was
filled in
there.
a lot of lakes.
And Michaela Peterson, and we lost her this year. To me, I don't think it's as big of a problem as it maybe got out to be, but some people were unhappy, so I just do need to address it.
So you're saying from now on, it looks pretty good?
It looks good, yeah.
Yeah.
If you have any solutions or ideas. Someone mentioned, having like a pool of lifeguards, like kind of like a nurses are on call or something.
That's the only thing I was gonna ask you. You had somebody like on call or something where you could call them and they don't.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that's the only other way you could do it.
Mhm.
And then you'd be coordinating with other pools also.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how that would work, because I do feel like we each kind of do our own, we have our own kind of guidelines,
Mm-hmm.
and how we run things, but,
And I think too, we're not the only community with this very issue. I mean, we're at, in Florida, they've dealt with the same thing, and all dealt with the same thing, where everyone just kind of does their best.
And that's
If
all
someone's
that's
upset
all
with
you
it-
ask for.
Yeah, and if someone's upset with paying for their pool pass, well, then don't pay it. Pay your $4 every time you come.
Now, Carrie, were you thinking like a pool with other communities too?
But I mean, then you're also, let's say you had Joe Blow and Red Wing today, you know, so you can't have them anyways.
right. I was gonna say, there aren't lifeguards that aren't getting hours.
And that's right.
You know, that would want to go to another pool.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you have some issues where like, if you have the first year guards, they have to be with?
They have been trained, they've been shadowing the older guards, and now they're on their own.
So you couldn't put 3 first year guards together to watch the pool? You have to,
Now I'm at the point where I trust them and could,
okay, but you couldn't the first?
No, I had to kind of get trained in and
Okay.
learn the ropes.
Could we train Lori and maybe she?
I would love to myself.
You gotta be able to swim to the bottom of the pool and get a brick, and I don't think I can.
You might become the brick.
I know I couldn't do it.
I guess I mean, it's too bad that it kind of had, or did come up, but I think it explains a lot.
Yeah.
You know, to all of us that don't know what goes on at the pool, you know, as
And I
far
really
as
didn't
your.
know it was such a
Right,
problem
right.
until, and I
Right.
did ask those people just to come to me next time versus
Yeah.
sharing their opinion all over
Yeah.
Facebook.
No, it's gonna happen anyway, so.
Yeah, that's too bad.
I just don't know
but-
there's a problem until someone brings it up, so.
Mhm.
No, it affects not just you, it affects every business and everything else. I mean, somebody has a beef with somebody, goes on social media right away, how bad they are. You just gotta take it with a grain of salt that way. If you have issues, that's what we're here for you.
I don't think the council's heard anything bad about how the pool.
And I'm glad you come here and addressing it, really.
Yes,
We're happy as heck to have you doing it, so.
and right away.
Yeah.
I mean, you were on the ball and did this right away. I thought, all right, she's on top of this.
I tried.
That was a good,
No,
A good
I
deal.
No,
appreciate-
it's a good group of girls and they are willing to work and
don't
there's
hate
a
the
lot going
guys.
on. We, Adam Ponslett, we got him,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't wanna be discriminatory.
No, yeah. Love some more boys or adults, yeah.
No, but thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate all your work.
Thank you.
Keep up.
All right.
So are we doing this next meeting?
I think, are we talking about it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to switch and do the garbage quotes quick.
Oh, I think.
Because I think you just have to say that and Jake can leave.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we have a long discussion coming up
Nothing
here.
else on the agenda.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, jeez. Oh.
Did everybody see the garbage quotes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lori and I opened these up and turn around. You wanna do?
Sure, I don't know that they can hear you. So the garbage, waste management, I really think came in cheaper in everything except maybe the cardboard recycling. So garbage rates stayed the same, recycling went up, but, that was, needed. And then actually, I think your 2 yard through 8 yard went down. Yep, and, your roll off stayed the same or was lower, so they're the clear winners.
Did you get any information on, possible rate increases and when they might occur or? anything like
Waste
that?
management promised us 5 years of these rates. GFL said they would raise 2.5 to 5% per year. And then they had a lot of other fees too for, fuel and, just too much to check. I mean, it's in your packet too.
Yeah, but that was one question I know we had about it,
Yeah,
and I haven't
yeah.
heard anything about that, so.
Yeah.
So we gotta have a motion to approve quotes.
I move we accept waste management for our garbage.
Can I interject one?
Yes.
This is for still weekly, correct?
Yes, we're
Yes,
gonna do
okay.
recycling weekly. We're not doing the every other.
Perfect.
Yeah, go ahead. Let's go a second, then we can do the discussion.
Okay, go second.
Yep.
Second.
Okay, now we can open
Okay.
discussion.
We're gonna keep our current cans, is that what the thought was too?
Yes, for now, absolutely, but as they break, we'll probably end up starting to replace more with our own cans.
Okay, I got a question for you. Well, that's brought up. There was 2 broken ones at Linesville. I threw them in the dumpster.
Okay.
They were from BFI or something.
Oh, really?
I don't know where they came from,
Okay.
but they were both left there, so we just threw it, hopefully they take it.
Well, we'll take it, absolutely.
But they were, I did put them in the dumpster.
I just thought that one question, I'm sorry. Billing, is that still gonna go through us, or are they?
Yeah, and if you can leave that the way it is, then the city dying to take it over.
No, we're good.
And,
Lori doesn't have to do so.
and Ms.
Yeah.
Cans, I think you had a policy for miss, if there was something missed during the day, somebody's cans were missed or something.
Our usual policy is, if it's, say you call us at 10 o'clock that day and somebody says, oh, goodness, we put an alert to the driver, and they'll come back same day. If it's after, say, 2 o'clock that day, it'll be picked up on the next day.
Oh, okay, but a call can be put in and it'll get done?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything, all the steps will be on the computer, so they just send a quick note on the computer.
Any other questions? Could everybody in favor say aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
We'll live up to the expectations of the city.
So we probably have to do a contract and
Yeah,
Would you,
yeah, you provide me the,
would you like me to,
why don't you resend it to me?
I will, I'll switch up the pricing,
Yeah, and we'll get it worked out. Okay,
that'll work.
thank you.
All right, thank you, appreciate your time.
Yep, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
You could have put them first.
Now we'll go to Carolyn.
Always we know.
Where do you want them? Up there?
let me know when you want me to call Mitch, because he would be available to talk about that grant too.
Yeah, whenever you want.
But you let me know.
So, okay, so I'm here for, the depot again. And, so just to give you a preview, prior to the city purchasing the depot, we had approached the previous owners, my husband and I, Jeff, had approached them to purchase it. We were told the city was interested, and then when he contacted the council at that point, which was only Wayne was on at that time as far as council members and officials here, the city decided to purchase it after, some time. So anyway, so you purchased it, was it over 3 years ago now, because it was 3 years ago this spring that we had approached the owners to purchase, and we're told you guys wanted it. So, by chance, I was at a council meeting in September of 2020, just for something totally different, and was heard that there, what was discussed, Carrie had mentioned that Ag Partners was interested in it, but if you did the exchange, it would have been tore down. And that's when several of us got together and said, what do? We want to see what the city thinks about this, and sent out the survey and all of that. So I've been working with Artie and with Kathy Holm as well. We put out the survey, we got the responses, we've approached the council a few times. And Jeff and I have been talking about this a lot and realize how much time this could take. It could take 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. We want to go back to the thought to purchase it from the city ourselves. We would not tear it down, we would not move it, we would restore it as we could, as we could see what would be needed. Will it happen in a year? I couldn't promise you that. We would keep the farmer's market there, we would keep the Christmas tree sales there. Hopefully, keep it as some sort of a communal area. Down the road, yes, it would be wonderful to, put it, to restore it back to the very original. But not knowing what that all involves, we can't make a promise, we'll do that in 2 years or 5 years or whatever. But we will keep it looking good. We will keep the grounds good, we will keep, the siding, the roof, everything. It would be very presentable. So, we are, asking if the city would allow us to purchase from them.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Carolyn?
Yes.
On that east side, there's a lot of trucks coming in and park.
Yeah.
They go in the C-store or whatever, I go, KSCS officer, I'm not sure where they go, but there's, you wanna fly all the way up to the curb?
Yes, yes, because down the road, if this becomes a place of business, let's say, that would more than likely be
You
the
park
parking
here.
lot.
Well, that's what I was.
And to get there, they have to cut across the property anyway. The way Lodemeyer's had it, you know, they had all the implements and the, okay, they have all the, but they had all the implements and the tractors and combines and all of that around there. So there is somewhat of a road loop there, right, that's been there. And, but to get around, you know, people are still coming in on that road loop to park on the property. But it would, you know, if we, being sold as is, you know, what the city owns, they would still have to cut across the depot property, regardless of who owns it, to get to where they park. So if they wanna, you know, get a sandwich at Russ's, I mean, they didn't do it, you know, the whole time Lodemeyer's had it, so there's still, you know, there's other places they can park, they don't, you know, to pull in on the street, down the street, or whatever. So yes, the whole entire lot. We had approached previous owner to buy the entire thing, but now Ag Partners has a chunk of it, we would have taken it all at that time. So we wouldn't want to divide that up. So if you have a place of business there, I don't think anybody wants semis sitting in their front, you know, in front of their business.
Does that go up to the right of way of Front Street then? That's where that would be?
So where are we at?
I have a survey here.
Yeah,
If you
so
wanna look
right
at that, might be helpful.
So when
Just
you
to
come
kind of-
here, I mean, what they're doing now, they're either, for the most part, driving here and cutting across the property anyway, to park here, to walk over here to get a piece of pizza. So, you know, there's other places obviously in town. This is, in my opinion, I mean, you can see that it's turned into a parking spot for the city, you know, for these people in the city. And when you look at it, right, I know the city invested their money, our taxpayers' dollars, into Front Street with curb and gutter, which these vehicles
Well,
are going over, right?
We,
And,
two businesses pay for that street.
right, okay. So, but the city owns and maintains it, is that my understanding? Okay.
Is there a water main under there? Isn't
Yeah, there is.
Right under here, the city?
Water
main going up Front Street.
That's what that is.
I think that's why you never abandoned it, because there was a utilities in there.
The only thing I described is the Ag Partners in that line.
Right here?
Yep. I think it goes further north a little bit, because that driveway was supposed to be half ours and half Ag Partners. The driveway out to Broadway.
Right here?
Yep.
Right here? Yeah.
Well, we own, I think, most
Yeah,
of more of the survey.
because this is county, right?
Pardon?
Right, this is county, this is what you're pulling up off the county?
Yeah, but
They aren't 100%.
They're not exactly, I
Yeah.
know, I get that, yeah.
and that survey is accurate, but that doesn't show the survey relative to like to that rolling dock, is it on there? Another driveway, I don't think they're showing on there.
Because where that telephone pedestal and that hydrant is about the line.
With the telephone pole?
Yep.
Right here, yeah, that's right, this one right here, and there's kind of a yellow
There,
flag or something right there as
that's
well.
marked.
That's the marker, yeah, and if, you know, you go down and look, it's very close to that.
Yeah, I know it's close,
So,
but
yeah, I mean, if you're,
I mean, we just can't go off of that 100%,
right,
So is this the legal description?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if I could just enter, so what we bought it from Mr. Lormeyer for was,
I did see it.
so that parcel was $3 a square foot, $101,931. And we did have, Lori asked me a question, we got an answer to this. We used tax increment funds to buy this. So we can't book it back into our general fund if we do sell it. But if we think, I talked to the financial person, our consultant, we probably could use it for something like streets. we just have to book it in a different way than that we
It
decided.
has to be in that district though.
Yeah, but she thought when we did the amendment, she thought we maybe did the whole town as a.
We did at one time.
And so,
Another option is we take it all back, we return it to the county, and then we get our, 60% back?
40%.
Or 40, oh,
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah, no.
That's not good business.
No, it goes 40 to the county, 40 to the city, approximately now, and 20% to the school. But that's what, so we just can't put it back in the general fund, so to speak.
Okay.
There might be some restrictions on what the city would potentially use those funds for.
Well, there's plenty of places that we could use it though.
I think we could, well, we have to follow the rules.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty confident we could find some uses that fit within a program that would serve a public purpose.
But it has to be done in what parameters for the city?
Well,
I don't remember how large they were. It's
Yeah.
bigger than just that lot.
yeah, it's better than that lot. But we have, districts, we've tried, and that's why we've done it, we've tried to make the development districts bigger, so that if we do have excess funds, we can spend them outside of that development, or, like, for example, someday anyway, with, if Mr. Ryan's building down there and his big building, if that ends up creating excess tax increment more than we think it would, we would be able to use that in the whole town basically for other uses like streets and some other things. But I'm just telling you, there might be some limits that, as to what we would, because of the type of money we use to purchase it.
I was thinking we did most of the time so we could start using it.
I think that, but I don't wanna say that and for sure.
If it's that way.
Yeah,
How do we find that
my
out?
thought was, yes, because I think there's an appetite, or there's some, from my understanding, the council, we wanna do some more overlays and street work next summer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe this would go towards that.
We could have Tammy give us an idea of
Yes.
that by the next meeting.
Oh, yeah, she can tell you for sure what we could do with it.
They were down here when we did it, so you just asking them that.
Okay, good.
Now, are you talking about if you buy the parcel that you would own, then Front Street and be able to, no?
Just to Front Street, I mean, you wouldn't own a street, I
No.
mean, it's the
Right,
city's.
they own up to the
Own
to
up
the end of
to
the
it.
street.
Okay,
Right.
and you just don't want people driving through
Right, but
your
Gary's
property, right?
asking, can they still park here?
Yeah.
It's like, well, none of it's on that whole parcel, because they have to come through here anyway, if you
Yeah.
watch the path they go.
Yeah. I don't know, if you want it, I don't think they should be driving through it anyway, if you don't want to.
No.
No, it-
And as, you know, when we were on the depot as a committee, that was something that we, you know, were hoping would happen as well.
I got something I want to say, or?
It kind of seemed like a good idea that we might try it, I guess.
I agree.
So, especially with their thought of, you know, I think the Ryans would do the right thing, and they're interested in the history of the city. They're interested in the history of the depot. You know, they see the value of that, and, you know, that's where the town started. And I don't have a lot of qualms, you know, with them purchasing it myself. And I think they had mentioned the same price we had paid for it.
Well, I know, that's just what I'm saying, what we paid.
Yeah. And I don't know if that would be the price, right?
I don't know, when we've done other land sales before, like to the developer of the senior living, we didn't make a profit on it, so to speak. The city decided that they were gonna sell for what they had into it, knowing it was gonna go to a good use, you know. But that's a decision. I'm just telling you, for historical purposes, that's what Mr. Lodemeyer charged us.
Do we need, before we would okay a sale, to actually offer it in a public offering?
No, you don't have to.
Okay,
You don't have to, but that's your decision if you wanna do it, but you don't have to do that.
okay.
would it help make the decision that already like said how the committee feels?
Well, I think Carolyn would love the place to pieces, and she would do exactly what we hope for the building. And, yeah, I don't think she wants parking on that side, I definitely would not. That is her property, and you don't want anybody parking on your lawn or whatever. Yeah, I think it's a wonderful idea. It's going to be very expensive, and it's gonna take a lot of years to get it to what we are hoping for the city or for the committee. Gotta raise a lot of money, and I don't know if we have that available in the community, probably, but it'd take a lot of work. And I know she would be wonderful to own it. I don't think it should go up for a public auction, though, I mean, for other people to buy it.
My biggest concern is just make sure the depot's gonna stay.
Oh, it ain't going anywhere.
No, that's the whole city behind
That's the
it
city,
was.
and that's why it's so important to me, and, I mean, the two pieces, and I think you all know that, my dad owned it for many, many years. And then, and it is iconic, I mean, if you look here, trains, you look all over, you know, I mean, I understand that. It wouldn't go, and when I'm gone, you know, I would just somehow hope to keep it in our family somehow with that stipulation. I mean, I can't, if I'm gone, I mean, I don't have a say anymore really, but I might. You know me well. Right? Oops. Don't put that in the paper. But, yeah, so, and I actually had this discussion with my siblings too, so they kind of know what our group is.
Well, my bigger concern is, Artie, you answered about it, this is
Yeah,
how you
I
guys
guess I'm
got.
kind of the one that started this whole thing, but I know she would do wonderful with it, and I think it's the best choice. If the city owned it when it was finished, what would they do with it? I mean, rent it out, then it's responsibility of you guys to find renters and all that upkeep, and, you know, where she'll have that all under her control. And Kathy has the same feeling.
She does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did go and talk to her, I did go and talk to Kathy one day, I saw her outside.
We discussed it at several of the meetings that, this is really a big gigantic thing here. Carolyn, why don't you buy it? And,
Yeah.
No, I mean, my biggest concern is you guys are working on it, you know,
Yeah.
I don't want to go underneath you.
no, I think it's a wonderful idea.
What's our next step?
Yes or no?
I mean, I guess the only thing I might add, if you find, this, it is a good community lot, and I know you said that Christmas tree sales could stay there. And the farmer's market could stay there, but who knows what happens to you, and maybe someone else moves into it and they don't want none of that stuff there. And it is a good community lot that's turned into it. Some things for the city to think about. I mean, we've used it for, safety classes, and the rail riders would like to continue to do that. I'm sure, depending on what you're doing with it, I mean, you're with the rail riders too, you might let us use it too, but that's completely unknown.
There might be something on that other
I
water
mean,
main part.
we've been talking about a memorial as well, and that's the number one place where they would like it to go, but I don't know, it's just other things for the city to think about.
That has been talked about, so. About the memorial.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're trying to find a different place for it if she buys it. Egg partners might be doing something with that lot. I ain't gonna say what because I don't know for sure, but, I mean, then it'd still be out, you know, then your real riders. Charlie?
How about doing the Memorial Park on the Cranston Heights?
We talked about that too, and then we talked about the park right across from the church. You know, different areas for it. Where it'd be visible from a lot of people, that's what we want. So I mean, we've been talking about where.
What, would we need a contract and then okay the contract?
Well,
first, or-
I mean, if I can jump in here, I will, okay? If there's a consensus of the council, they want to sell it, you know, if somebody would make a motion to sell it to Carolyn and Jeff or wherever you're gonna be, and I don't know if you're comfortable with selling it for what the city paid for it, that's not my decision to make. If somebody would make a motion, we just,
Start the process.
it wouldn't be too much, it wouldn't be too much, cause I just did all the legal work on this 2 or 3 years ago. I got the file here, so it's not gonna probably take very long, depending on what Carolyn wants to do. I know she's got a date she'd like to have it by or not, I'm not really sure, cause I didn't know what you wanna do, so.
Well, then the other piece is that grant. So that was information we got this week. So when we had, and Artie, I think you, did you get the email as well? So this grant came through when we were down and we were talking, I don't know if you folks are on it, but anyway, on the council at the time, but there was a grant that Donna Mack had applied for. And our understanding was, and maybe you want to Mitch jump on that, I don't know.
Okay.
But, our understanding was just, it was dollars to get to evaluate the building to see if it was worth saving. And now we're finding it's to evaluate if it would be, suitable for the National Registry of Historic Properties. So, and if that's the case, I don't know, that's where Mitch comes into play.
Hi, Mitch, it's Lori and Goodhue. Are you ready to go on speaker? Okay.
But what we would like,
Can you hear?
Yes, I can hear.
okay, what we would like is, you know, yes, we will sell it to you, we can have a contract. I don't know if it would be an open-end contract as far as the date goes because of this grant now coming through. And that's where Mitch knows more than I. We talked a little bit yesterday morning. I mean, this just happened like in the last
Yeah,
2
we
days.
just found out. Mitch, maybe you can explain what the grant can be used for and then the differences of whether the city uses it versus Carolyn.
Yes, so, we did get word back that we got the grant, so we haven't accepted it yet. But the grant is used to evaluate whether the building is eligible to be placed on the National Register of Historic Buildings. And once that if we accept the grant, we get the evaluation done, they send it to the State Historic Preservation Office, and at that point, they'll decide whether or not it goes on the National Register. I have not heard back from SHPO yet. I did reach out to them to figure out kind of what the timeline is from the time that the evaluation is completed to the time that it would be decided whether it belongs in the National Register or not. So we are still waiting on that information. But there are some benefits to having the building placed on the National Register. For instance, it's a lot easier to get grants for historic buildings. And when I did talk to Carolyn about this, I did mention, you know, if she did want to go through with it, we have to figure out if the building has to remain in the city's possession prior to before it comes registered. Does it have to stay in the city's possession before then? And then we can move the building to her and sell it to her. That's something that I'm still waiting to hear back on. But again, getting the grants after it's on the registry is going to be easier for Carolyn if that's where she wants to go to preserve the building versus being a private entity where it can be quite difficult to find grants. Not impossible, but quite difficult. That's kind of where we're at in the process of this grant and whether or not we want to accept it. And I think that's kind of maybe the determining factor here, and unless Carolyn just wants to go through and do it on her own, that's completely up to her.
Kind of sounds like your decision.
Maybe you need some more research though on really what the National Registry means to you.
Right, I mean,
Because I know we bought the creamery and we did not want it on there.
you did, yeah,
Yeah.
see, and this is all news to me, like I said, like Monday. And if you're by your house, you must total chaos right now with kids like from all over the country. Anyway, so I haven't had a chance, and Mitch was going to do some. Right, Mitch, I mean, you were going to look into that? to see, like, yes, would I like the benefit to be on the registry so we could get grants? Absolutely. If it's best to move through this more quickly, I mean, Lori, maybe we can have a discussion why you thought it wasn't a good idea.
Well, I thought if you started using grant money, you had to then do your whole building based on period.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've seen some beautiful places on the National Registry that look shoddy
Okay,
because.
yeah. So,
Yeah, and I think that's where we're waiting to hear back from SHPO on how that process looks and what can be done with the building after it's on the registry. And if it's going to restrict what Carolyn's allowed to do with the building, maybe then she doesn't want it on there. I don't know for sure. But again, that's where we're still waiting to hear back from them, and I haven't heard back from them yet. I reached out to them on Monday.
Sounds like we need to wait.
I just
Make a decision.
Oh, Arlen?
Yes, what happens
We
then?
never did. We just said it was-
Oh, you never did,
Hey.
okay.
Arlen's talking.
I think if the city got involved with it, it would run into a lot of liability concerns with that building. Especially when you guys got in there to take care of that paint and stuff, where Carolyn can go in there with her family, and they ain't gonna say anything. It's her responsibility. But for the city itself, you're gonna be surprised that it's cost you to take the paint off.
Well, trust me, I know that from that last house we just tore down.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I think you can make a move to sell that, because a lot of people, sure, they would like to donate. They would like to donate, but when it really comes down to it, how much do you wanna donate? If they're gonna come with $100, that ain't gonna do anything. It takes a lot of people in this community to give $100, and they aren't all gonna do that. You know?
Maybe we could enter into a purchase agreement for the sale now, and maybe the closing would be a little bit flexible based upon what your need, once you make a decision.
yeah, I mean, look, like I said, we heard this like 2 days ago.
Yeah, I mean-
Yesterday we talked about it. I don't even know what it means to be on the National Registry.
I'm not thinking you're gonna wanna be on there either, but
Yeah,
that's just my
well,
concern.
But we could wait and see if it can go on there.
Yeah.
And we don't have to put it on it, don't get me wrong.
Right,
But if
right.
we had a purchase agreement, then that would, you know, it'd be there, so you know
Right.
that,
I would like that. I
Okay.
would like the purchase agreement.
okay.
And Mitch, is there a timeline when you have to say yes or no to that grant?
Yes, it's been 30 days of receiving the notice that we were approved for the grant. So that was on June 29th or June 30th, I believe. So basically until the end of this month, we have to decide.
Gotcha, okay. My question would be is, would the grant committee frown on, we as of now own the property, then are kind of vacillating whether or not we're gonna sell it prior to the sale? Where's it gonna be? Is that somewhat being deceptive to the grant? Because we're comparing, should we keep it for now to get the grant while we still own it, or is it better to sell it? Or is she gonna keep it, want it on the National Registry? I'm just looking at the legality of that and how that looks on paper.
I can't answer that question, except for, I think that based upon what Carolyn wants to get up and go, once you start getting these grants and all that kind of stuff. And out of the 10 grand, is that how much this grant is?
I don't know.
Yes.
Is that what they
Yes.
Said yes.
Okay, because we didn't know it was anywhere from 1 to 10, I think. I don't know. There was a range.
And that's not gonna put anything, that's just gonna give you a designation, it's not gonna put any more money in your pocket. It's gonna give
Right.
some, so I just can't imagine a circumstance, but I could be wrong where it would be worth it.
We gotta check on that.
Yeah.
So I can just interject real quick too. So Melinda from Minnesota Historical Society did say if the sale was imminent, it would probably be better for us to decline the grant. That we could just decline it at that point.
Perfect.
So that's something to consider too, that she did state that.
That changes things, huh? Yeah. And we were told that from Donna, what that option goes. You can take it, you can decline it, you know. So we thought, well, that was why you and I and Kathy brought that up, well, maybe we should have it in place in case it
helps us down the line right more than that.
But then it appears we should not have a purchase agreement in the works if we've not declined the grant.
Probably best, right?
Yeah, that's, okay.
So,
Some more.
so well, I mean, we would like to see this purchase agreement in place soon. And I don't know how that works, Dick. I mean, if you can get, like, I don't know any, you know, two phases here.
What we have to do is, we'll make the motion.
Yeah, but
Right,
Then if we get the purchase, they make the motion of purchase agreement, they
Yeah.
can start on the paperwork.
then you'll have to, but you need, that's the way I'm hearing from the council, that means that's the other side today, we're gonna decline the grant, it's your baby, right?
Correct,
Right.
yeah, you'd have to decline that
Yeah.
grant.
so before you vote, you think it's like the National Registry is, and Laura, you kind of already, I mean, I'm like saying, I haven't had any time to
Well,
research.
I read it, it was like 5 years ago when I
Yeah.
looked into all this, and it just thought,
I think I mean, there's a lot of old buildings in Red Wing that are on our National Registry.
Yeah.
What they really get touchy about is the outside appearance of the building.
Yeah.
They basically don't care what you do with the inside, but then we're gonna start, like Arlen says, you're gonna start, when it's not a it's not a, right at this point, what you're talking about is making a private building. You don't, and depending what you do with it, you might not have the same requirements with respect to handicap accessibility. And not that you're not gonna have a handicap accessible, but there might be if it's not gonna be a public building, you're gonna have more flexibility with what you do with it if it's gonna be a public use.
There's good chances that you'd be able to get funding for like the paint removal and all that on a different grant than what we could do.
Right.
So, I mean, I have no issue if you want to buy it. I mean, I don't, but these guys are the ones that are.
Maybe what we should do is make a motion to sell it, and then you decide if you want a purchase agreement. If you don't, and I guess we're back to square one again.
I mean, if you can just give me until tomorrow morning to.
Oh, no, I don't even, it's up to the council, whatever they
No,
want.
if, you know, that's, if this is weighing on the grant, that's what I'm saying, but you said there was a lot of, and I don't want, I mean, Arlen, you maybe know this as well too, being in this position before, you know, yeah, will they require, like you said, handicap accessibility, do you have to take the paint off this way? Because it's under registry, it would be almost like the same as if the city or a government owned it, right? But as a private person, we maybe wouldn't have to do everything.
There'd be less restrictions on it.
Right, as opposed to being on the national, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
but there also, the other thing we should probably talk to, I think there used to be anyway, maybe Laura, you know this, there used to be tax credits and stuff available when people fixed up and did national. Yeah, but I don't know for sure on it.
So I could go ahead and make a motion that we agree to the sale, and she could have till whenever to
Yeah,
accept
if you
it.
decide to accept it, yeah, then we don't have
Yeah.
nothing, yeah.
So then we
Yeah, we
don't,
don't-
yeah,
that
so
sounds
I
good.
would make that motion. Okay, to sell the depot and the property to the Ryans.
I second.
Motion made and seconded to sell the depot property to Ryan's. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Carrie, you don't need a price on this?
Well, that we didn't, you know. Here's what maybe that was assumed, are we gonna sell for the same thing we bought it for?
are we done
That's
with
what we
it?
discussed. 101.
Thanks,
And
Mitch, bye.
we paid $101,931, $3 a square foot. And that's a competitive price for property in Goodhue, I think, anyway. But that's what,
Well, we were doing the stuff next, where Mitch bought across over here
for two, I think, was it?
yeah, and then we went to 3, and if they weren't gonna put a building on, we went to 4.
Yeah.
As long as a building, I mean, about 3 is.
I'm just thinking of the purchase agreement, you should have the
Well, I
value
got,
of the land or
I think,
purchase agreement, no. What's that mean?
well,
You're gonna buy it for what price?
I assume that, maybe I was wrong.
Okay,
Doesn't change.
I sense that you wanna maybe look into this a little bit. I mean, we wanna sell it, definitely,
We want to buy it, yeah.
and you wanna buy it. But I mean, we don't have a price necessarily yet. But maybe you just wanna do a little research, just for yourself. You know, you can talk to other people or whatever. I mean, if you wanna Well, that would be, wait until the next meeting, I suppose.
And I was assuming
You
we'd
know?
have to,
It's 2 weeks.
vote on the purchase agreement too, right, in the end.
You wouldn't really, I guess I had
Wouldn't have
to,
to?
no, I wouldn't.
But
Okay.
we could also make another motion on a price right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I would be comfortable with that. I'm not really too, sold on the National Registry, if they're gonna throw restrictions at us. I mean, I trust that you, right? Yeah. It's kinda, I don't want this committee, to be honest, I mean,
We looked into it before.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, what we would have to do as a city in there was astronomical. I mean, everything would have had the handicap accessibilities, the complete ripping out the bathrooms and everything else and put everything else in it. It was just ungodly for the price, so that's why we couldn't do it. But I mean, we can sit there and make a motion right now for a price.
Yeah, because the only time we talked about the price was at a closed meeting. That's why everybody's kind of wondering.
Yeah, and I'm just saying that's what we have.
Right.
Right.
And everybody was assuming, I was anyway, but let's make it official and.
Right.
So then included is that, in that would, it would have to be declined then.
The grant.
The grant.
Would have to be declined.
Yeah,
I think we'd be
declined.
okay with that. And I trust their opinions, I honestly do. I do, I
I'm no
do.
expert, I'm no expert.
No, but I can see where that is taking. So,
So, can I get a motion? What do you guys want to sell for? We got into it, you want more or less, or our purchase price?
No, that's not what we talked about at that closed meeting.
That's what we kind of agreed on, at
Exactly,
the
that's
closed
what I
meetings.
thought, yeah.
Sounds the right thing.
I mean, I wasn't at the closed meeting.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, that's
right.
right.
You weren't
That's
there.
right.
No, but you talked about it and it sounded like the
Yeah.
right thing.
Right.
So let's make a motion.
It's okay.
That's at 101,000.
It was 101,931,
9:31.
yes.
I make a motion that we sell the depot property to Carolyn for the same price that we purchased it, $101,931.
We got a second?
That's it?
Any more discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Thank you.
Yeah,
all right,
thank you.
so, Dick, you'll be in contact
Yep,
with me?
you got my number.
Yeah, I will, so, yeah, and put Jeff's name on there as well.
Sure,
I know I'm the one that always shows up, because he doesn't.
Yeah, that's fine, whatever you want,
He's not fond of meetings.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And then you'll have to contact Mitch.
Yes, yep, I'm hoping he can help me with this. Okay, I'm done?
Yep,
Yes.
thank you for coming. Swanson Heights Twin Homes Covenants.
It has to be
Okay,
done
okay.
tonight.
Well,
Does it have to be done?
They
It's
don't-
really gotta be done tonight, because I got these realtors on
It
my
doesn't have to
hind
be
end about.
complicated.
And I'm just, that's the only reason I put it on there again, because we don't wanna lose this sale. I don't think.
Right.
That's right, that's right.
And, so I think we had the final, as you noticed in the minutes, we had in there the 25% stone and brick,
Right,
Yep,
and then the minimum size requirements.
1375.
Yeah, and then that's right in the minutes. And then, but we didn't finish up about if we were gonna require different siding or not on it. So that's, I think, where we left it for tonight's discussion. So that's all I don't have anything else to add.
to me, I'm okay with everything except the siding. You can't sit there and make, unless you're in a closed plate, you cannot make somebody put a certain type of siding on the
Right.
house. Then you're gonna tell, if you do that, you have to do the whole town.
Right.
So I'd say no on that, the rest I don't have an issue.
Well, everything was fine. If that's the only thing that the contractor had a problem with, too, was the
And
siding.
I heard from 4 different contractors.
Right, exactly, yep.
Well, this particular didn't have a problem with it, he said, but it's, gonna increase costs and.
We'd probably lose the sale of it.
Well, he
said he didn't think. he
And
could do
you told me to look into that, in fact, I should have said that, they did look into that. He said it was like I don't know if it was a unit or per unit, it was like $8,000
Right.
difference in price.
Yeah.
So that's all, but that's not my decision to make.
No.
So the covenants that we do have.
Did you have those in our packets last?
No, yeah, so.
From the last time.
I got it here.
Yeah.
We still, and I shouldn't, you know, we still can't, maybe I'll just review them here quick, so what they say, okay? We can't have, it has to be new construction, no double wide trailers, multi-built homes. It's supposed to be completed substantially within 1 year. All residents have to have a paved driveway with asphalt or cement, and that's to be done within 1 year of construction. I have to change this. They have to have at least a 2-car garage, but no more than 3. I can't imagine having 3 on there. Can't have, well, this is the covenant against the campers again, you know, but whatever. You can't have display signs except for sale sign. Talks about easements that are on the sides of the lots. Accessory structures shall only be allowed if they're 200 square feet. That's relatively small, and they're supposed to be the same material in the siding as the house. No outside wood burning stoves. That was one we added later on. We also have an ordinance against that now too. They can't have an outside wood burning stove in town because we had a couple problems with that. They have to do it. They have to be constructed in accordance with our grading plan. You know, these are relatively flat, but in a lot of places we have a grading plan that says where the house has to go, but these lots are relatively flat. Prior to commencing, they gotta have a silt fence around the whole lot. You have to have sodding or seeding take place within 12 months. All utilities have to be underground. You can't have above ground storage tanks. We used to have those a lot. And that's kind of it. Then I'll add the stone and, or the 25%, and then the minimum square footage. And I'll take out any, the suggestion they take out any reference to value. We're gonna trade that for square footage.
Yep.
Is that right?
Right, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So if they're okay,
Can I,
Yeah,
now, those would be the 1375 minimum square footage on the twin homes.
on the twin home, yeah.
Do we have any minimum square footage or the price on a single family dwelling up there? What was?
You mean on the rest of it?
Right.
And the rest, oh yeah, yes we do.
Yeah, there is a.
Not on this is
Not on
Swanson
this
Third. This,
Yeah.
these are gonna be, I think, the way I was instructed, these are gonna be on the lots on the east side of the road.
Right.
Are you talking just the 3rd edition or the
Yeah.
2nd edition?
Well, just, I know some of them up there, they
Everything,
were built, there was more of a price, that's why we
Yeah,
took the
yeah,
square
yeah.
footage out.
yeah,
So this would be minimum square footage for a twin home,
right,
not
Oh,
necessarily
you're talking.
a
up there.
single
Yeah.
yeah, that's
family.
right, that's
Okay.
right, yep,
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 Yeah,
got it,
okay.
got it,
that's what I thought you were saying,
Yeah.
that's what.
perfect.
So are we okay with that? We got a consent?
Yep.
Okay, then you wanna maybe call Wayne, we can get this done?
I'll call them, but
Okay, all right. Okay, that's all, I don't have anything else.
Good.
So
Make
I
a
got a
motion?
motion, I just gotta ask. do we
Yeah,
have a
go ahead.
motion to approve
Yeah,
this?
yeah, okay, yeah, we went too fast there, so go ahead, yep.
I'll make a motion that we approve the covenants for the twin home
3rd edition.
3rd edition.
Did I get a second?
Mhm.
Motion made second to approve the covenants on Swanson Heights 3rd edition. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, I can't believe we're just about done. Conflict concerns, I've been working between Kenny Ryan's down there and senior living. And I've got a few things that I don't wanna bring up in here yet. It's nothing bad, it's just a few small details that I have to finish off. Then I'll bring it to you as soon as I get them done. But it's not gonna hurt, the things that's left is not gonna hurt the building or even starting of it, so.
And that's with the, we talked about that a little bit. They've already agreed to it, right, yeah. Okay, you know what?
Yeah, see, I don't want it out yet until I get everything signed. And that's the only reason, but I've gotta let you know that I'm still working on it, so.
It's just not signed. We have a verbal agreement, but it's not signed.
Right.
Yeah.
So as soon as that's done, then everything's kosher up there to go, so. They did. I did have a meeting with them. And I should bring that up tonight, though. They wanna bring that hilltop on the north end of the building. They wanna bring that in and make that cul-de-sac right away. Because then, if they bring this,
Could you pull the map up on that so we can see what you're talking about?
Yeah.
I think that'd be helpful.
Where am I going?
Dan Rantham Street.
oh, I see, yep.
One more.
There it is.
Okay, hilltop right there, that's Rantham Street and that. They wanna extend that street in and make a cul-de-sac there. You know, just like that. And then,
For future development.
yeah, because they're talking seriously about already putting a future development in there, but I can't state what it is. And then, so, as long as.
Who's they?
The developer.
The builder?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all their land anyway, they
Okay.
just want permission if they put it in, the city would take over that part of the street, you know. But they're building it themselves.
They'll build the street,
Yeah.
we'll just do the maintenance or.
Yeah.
Well, they go in this plot, you know.
Yeah, the problem is there's no water main. That's what the problem is, right, Steve?
Yeah.
There's no water main off of there.
No, off of that street there isn't.
Do they have to have that?
Well, what they're talking about is getting another
Oh,
way
I
in
see,
there. Yeah, another way in there.
Yeah.
I mean, how wide is this street and how big is this cul-de-sac?
Oh, they had it on the drawing, on the plans, but I don't have the plans.
We can make a loop with our truck.
Yeah,
I don't have those plans, but they had a plan there one time, I guess it's the proposed site plan.
Yeah.
You got one in there maybe?
No, I don't think so. I've just got the building plans here for construction, I think.
But they'd have.
Well, it kinda is. It says there's a future road here and stuff, isn't it? I mean,
yeah,
that's.
this is what they want to
Yep,
put in.
right, but there's no dimensions in this. Right.
And I don't know if they're up there digging, they're gonna do that. If they do it, they're gonna have to, I mean, they gotta come.
They want to do it because they gotta move so much dirt up there, it says it'd be easier for them to just do it now.
And if they need the infrastructure later,
Well, there would be nothing for us underneath there, their infrastructure would be coming, cause like the sewer line's coming from the east. And
but we just have
that'll
to
come
decide
up
how
and
we
go,
get it there later.
yeah,
right?
that would be, once it's in their lot, it's their problem.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
So then they would go up and put it in, if they put it in our building or something up there, you know.
yeah.
So it's just to fill you in that will be, we're talking about now, if they do it, I'm not positive that's what they asked. And they asked if the city would have a problem, I said I'd bring it up, and I just forgot about it till just now. But I can't see where that's gonna hurt us any anyway, so.
They'd have to have plans and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they'd have to have everything there, which they do already, so. Their plans are there, then there's actually a plan where the house and that is down in there, putting another smaller building in there eventually. They were, well, they threw a bunch of stuff out at me, and I told them, I said, a coffee shop, so that people wanted to come out there and go to a coffee shop would be good for them.
Yeah.
That's one of them, was a cafe, you know.
Wow. Okay, okay.
But I ain't gonna say what it is because I don't know myself, so I'm not gonna feed you nothing there. But it's mostly that street will probably be going in and then see how it goes, I mean. But yeah, they're looking for a different way of coming in with the water line, but that's their problem.
Do we need a motion for that, or is it just so we know?
It's just to fill the council in, so you see something going up there, somebody's gonna go, what the hell are they doing now?
I suspect it's gonna happen, I
That is
suspect they're gonna be moving earth within, now, they'll support it back a few days, but very, very soon. And they'll go to town when they do it, they'll have a big crew up there, so I don't know. who's
So,
doing it.
so what's the deal on April 4th, August 4th?
That's a
They wanna have an open house.
Groundbreaking.
Yeah, yeah, and they'll probably break ground before that, but they wanna have
Official.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Paper
It's
moment.
to
Well, and they
let-
would
Paper
let
moment.
the
Paper
people know.
many of us
Yeah.
there as possible. And I don't know if they'll, I think, she called you too as well, or?
She did not.
I remember, yeah.
She's
Okay.
going to, because she
But I was
mentioned it with
waiting
me
for
too,
you.
so.
Yeah, August 4:30 to 6, I believe. And then, I don't know, somebody will have to have a shovel. You probably won't be there, huh?
Well, I might be there, I don't know.
Yeah.
I asked
Bring
her,
a lot of
I asked her
shovels,
at point
and they're
blank, and she's
painted
got a bunch of
gold.
golden shovels on.
Yeah.
That company who's doing it is a big time deal, they'll probably have
It'll
all,
be a big
they'll
deal.
have all that stuff.
They'll bring it all.
Yep.
But that, the only thing I just been working on, things in the background again right now, so.
Well, no, it's really not them, it's Goodhue Senior Living is the person that bought it, and the contractor is Weiss out of Rochester.
It's Goodhue Senior
Living.
Living LLC.
So who's doing the groundbreaking?
Well, I think this, yeah, you know, I
The
really don't know.
accommodation.
I really don't know. I don't know who that, what in charge of that is.
Any
That's
council
exciting.
concerns?
I have something for the police, since they left. National Night Out is Tuesday, August 3rd. And they're gonna put posters around, so if as many of you guys can come to that, that'd be great too.
And that's at Rosie Park.
Yes, and they are working out some details, their entertainment and food, and you may be asked to flip a burger, I don't know.
No, we have a fireman's meeting, so I won't
Okay,
Must be
I
part-
think
be
there
there
are
anyway.
trucks
Fire
coming
department's
over.
part of it.
be able to. Yeah, well, we still got our stuff to do there too.
Yeah.
I'm the secretary and the treasurer.
Oh, I gotta tell you, second two jobs.
Yeah.
Jeez, is that legal?
Secretary and treasurer.
Any other council concerns or?
Lawn mowing up at the Twin Homes, that, last time I went by, it was kinda long, I don't know if somebody's doing that, or they're supposed to do that yet, or?
We have, I mean,
We have one homeowner who's doing the lot, 2 lots behind his house. To keep it down. I do know that.
Can
So,
you
but it
get
is
Lincoln
getting
in there?
long.
Getting long and weedy.
how much are we mowing?
I don't know,
I mean,
that's,
that's,
Well, basically, yeah, we've been doing the rest of it. I mean, if it's long, we'll do the whole lot once.
but, I mean, up there, we've just kind of been mowing boulevards just because it's, it's,
But we had somebody,
it's not like, I mean, it's rough up there. If you want me to tear equipment up,
I don't know, I just thought I'd ask, cause like.
yeah, no, I
Like,
mean, I
getting
guess
long
you tell
and-
us how much we have to mow.
well, it's like, the other
Yeah.
thing is, you know, like they asked before, if there's a brush hog or something, you can go up to.
Yeah, you definitely wanna use something like that, not a finish mower, just a bush hog, if you
Well,
had something like
I mean,
that.
yeah, if you want us to do that, then yeah, we can.
Right.
That's what I would like to see you do, just go on, once we need.
Just knock it down, yeah.
How often would you like this done?
Well, if it doesn't rain again, like once.
I mean,
I mean, it's just, I suppose,
Well,
just
how,
look
yeah,
at it
how tall, I
accordingly.
mean, how,
No, look at it now and then we'll just look at it again, I mean, just to get it done.
And, you know, we're always talking about cars and trucks and not being licensed, and if you go up past the trailer court and just to the right, there's like cars and trucks up in there that aren't licensed and a bunch of tall grass and a bunch of junk.
He was
They need to
cleaning
be
some of
addressed.
that out.
Well,
What?
that's not too
He was cleaning some of that out.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, 'cause
Okay, so
that
they're
buil-
addressing it.
Yeah, the building alongside got sold, and he brought it up to him, so.
Mhm.
One. When I was on the school board, we used to go through our policies yearly. I don't know if we wanna do something, if our policies are back at the 70s, do we wanna bring a policy up once a month or something and look at it and say, do we need to renew this and just start going through them?
Oh, that's probably, I mean, some of that stuff is, we don't have a lot of policies done, do we?
The one that we should work on is our setbacks, and,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, that's from 1970.
Well, our zoning ordinance yeah, 1970.
Yeah, on the big,
And it's such a big,
It's a piece of paper.
yeah.
And we,
it's like-
and we,
newspaper.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
We should
right.
probably, well, and I don't know about personnel, we kinda did that when we went through that stuff.
Yeah,
with
when I
Joe, didn't we?
started, we did the personnel policy, and then I think we did some updates.
Updating when,
With Julie, our, league
yeah,
attorney.
yeah.
So we just updated that.
And the police do update their stuff, I mean, that's
Yeah.
more of an inter-department thing. I know they recently did their use of force, and when they had that chase in Minneapolis, about a couple weeks ago, I said, Josh, we got a policy in place for that, what we're supposed to not do and all do, because then you don't get it. If you have a policy, you know, just abide by the policy, you're gonna be okay about getting sued, so. I think that zoning ordinance probably should be, take a look at, but that's something we could maybe.
Put on a
Yeah.
agenda sometime.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
most
good.
of our other stuff is pretty new, or newer,
Yeah.
probably from Arlen
Yeah.
forward.
Good for you guys. Good eyes.
The reason they might have more at the school is more to do with, there's a lot more regulations up
So
there.
much.
With the
So much.
kid education, and then a lot more people working up there, and that's why they might have quite a bit more than we
You
do.
go through fire.
But
department
still,
sometimes,
it's
you know.
1970.
Yeah, I know.
You know, I mean, like, to take it piecemeal, just do
Yeah.
one, I
No.
don't know, one a month or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah.
You know, I
Okay.
mean, I think
So it
that
is
kinda
old,
makes
it
sense.
is old, and
I think Josh
maybe it
just-
has served its purpose, you know.
I think Josh just did emergency management one, so.
Yeah.
Within the last 2 years. So.
Just, like I said, just a thought. So.
No, it's a good idea.
Good idea, yeah.
Mhm.
Are you finished?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm next. A concern, wondering about, you know, when Zemke comes and puts their dumpsters in the street, they have no reflectors on the back of those dumpsters. They're on their trucks when they haul them in, but legally they should have some type of reflection on the back of them, shouldn't they?
Yeah, it wouldn't take much to put the
No, I
stickers
mean,
on.
all they'd have to do is put stickers on it. They're
No.
gonna, you know, a lot of times they put them in the driveways too, but if they're gonna put
If
them
it's in a public
in the
street, I can
street,
see it,
it,
yeah.
Absolutely.
it really
Yeah.
should have, like the one in
Chevron
front of the
unit,
school
doesn't matter.
has no reflectors on it at all. And, you know, that could be a real liability for anybody. It's easy for them to put reflectors on the back. But I've noticed 2 of them now in town without that, so maybe when they come in, or do they apply for a permit?
No, not
No.
for that, they don't.
I don't know when they,
The only
Yeah, well,
permit says if somebody's doing, remodeling, they apply for the permit.
Okay.
they apply for a building permit, but,
The
yeah, I don't
dumpster,
even
no,
consider a dumpster, I don't even think about that.
it's just so they ain't got garbage laying all over.
Right, but, yeah. I mean, oftentimes if you
All
put
that-
something
all
in
that-
the street
all
like that, you have to cone it,
All
to
that
put
Josh-
around it, so,
All
you
that
know,
Josh talking about.
even just to get something on them.
Reflectors or even signage be up beside them someplace.
You know, anything that would reflect.
Anybody else? I need a motion to pay the bills.
Someone,
Yes, sir.
Motion made and second to pay the bills, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. I need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Motion made and second to adjourn, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?